All right. Hello, Libra. Welcome to your monthly reading. Little Apollo, freshly back from his walk in the background. I'll bring him up a little later if he walks over here, but he's happy now. Thank you so much. I always like to make sure I get one more walk in with him, and we're in a new environment, so it's important that he gets that walk before we get started. So anyway, welcome everybody. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to be taking a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks. This is going to be good for Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. We'll actually go a little deeper into Sun, Rising, and Moon toward the end of the forecast. We have a special piece in today's reading, which will be a 2023 sneak peek. I'll be taking a look at 4 cards for the 4 different quarters of the new year. And if you want a deeper dive on New Year's Eve, I'll be doing a 12-month sort of breakdown of what to expect for 2023. I can't wait. This year has been kind of up and down and all around for me, but either way, a new year is always a chance to click that reset button, to really start to explore and see like what's available. And we'll be talking about it in a moment, but your totem for today is a frog, which is kind of cool because it goes through a metamorphosis, and we always think about butterflies and moths, and I think even dragonflies go through that same sort of change, but so do amphibians. And so we'll talk about the frog today and about how that's going to help us kind of like leapfrog into the new year. Okay. Welcome to my new space. This is just, this is my office. I'm still getting everything else set up. I have a really nice fireplace in the living room, and one of these days we'll do maybe a fireside impromptu over there. But for now, I wanted to actually just have a special space just for the sacred work that we do here. So we have some nice greenery behind me as well. I think this space suits the work that I'm doing, and I'll continue to liven it up as I get unpacked. So let's get started for today. If you're brand new, please do me a favor and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any videos. I will eventually get back into a very predictable cadence, but like I said, this year I've had to deal with a lot of tumults from pretty much from March onward. So this is the first time things are kind of getting back into a normal routine. So thanks for being patient. But if you hit the bell icon, you'll be informed about like 30 minutes before I do any new video through like notifications or an email. And so easy way to stay in touch. You can also follow me across social media. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all the major platforms. I'm also trying out some new ones like Mastodon. So if you want to keep track of what's going on, you can click on the link in the description box or here in live chat to make sure that you know where I'm at. Remember that I don't offer private readings, and I haven't for some time. If anyone says that they are offering them, it's not me. I'm not planning on offering them anytime soon. I get that question a lot, and most YouTube readers don't offer them because there's too many imposters out there. So just to ignore, block, and report anything that you see where someone's trying to do that. If you'd like to give back or become a member of this channel, you can do that through basically the chat. There's a little $sign there, and you can become a member. And I'm starting to do some member-specific videos. I might do something next week because we're around the midpoint of the month, so more to come on that. I'm definitely going to do something for everybody around the 21st as well, just to kind of mark the beginning of winter here in the Northern Hemisphere. And we'll be doing holiday videos as well. So just keep an eye on my channel for more information, okay? With that being said, let's get set up for the channeled messages for today. Like I said, the frog came through, and it came through in meditation. So there are 3 ways that I get information: dreams, meditation, and then also as I'm researching, I kind of pull it all together and see what the canopy and what the sort of tapestry for the month is going to be for you. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring up the presentation, and we're going to talk about frogs today because, yeah, it's kind of a cool symbol. I don't think I've dealt with it in this sign for a while at least. And every time I do a totem, I try to look at different things that we haven't talked about before, because there's always something new to learn. And that's one of the more fun things for me as a reader on this channel, is that I've been able to learn more about things. So we're specifically looking at the metamorphosis that a frog goes through. And there are 3 main phases. The tadpole phase has a couple of interim sort of steps that it goes through. And some frogs just go from egg to adult, so but most go through the metamorphosis. So we're going to focus on that. What does this symbolize for you? Pretty easily. It's basically showing that there's some major changes that are underway for you. And I like to equate eggs in, sort of nature and totems to the Ace of Pentacles. Any ace would work, but the Ace of Pentacles in particular, because a seed, an egg, or an idea, you have to feed it, you have to nurture it, just like you have to incubate an egg here. So for you, I think one of the things to remember is not everything is going to show up. It's potential. All aces are basically saying the universe is handing you, just like you see the Rider-Waite-Smith hand coming out saying, is this what you want? But you have to answer the universe and say, yeah, I'm ready. Let's put in the work together. You co-create with the universe. It opens up synchronicities for you. The door is open, but you have to walk through, or you have to open it up sometimes. But it's there. So this is really a check-in with you to see how ready you are, how hungry you are, what you want to do to make this happen. So that's the first step here, is to understand that there's potential, there's stuff going on beneath the surface, and it's really about your investment in what you're doing, okay? Next step. All right, so the tadpole phase, as I was talking about. Interestingly enough, not all frogs go through this. And I guess some of you could decide if you're at a point in your life where you really don't want to kind of go through all the interim steps, but let's just talk about why it's important. So there's actually timelines with this, which I always find helpful when we're looking at things. So the legless waterbound tadpoles usually take 14 weeks to go from that little tiny tadpole to the adult frog. So we're looking at a 2-week process here. So some of you might be watching me over the holidays. Some of you might be watching me in the new year. From the time that you're watching this video, there's about a 2-week process, and you may actually continue to see 2-week sort of germination periods kind of rolling after one another between now, when I'm doing this live around mid-December, to the end of January. So that would give you maybe like 3 of those periods to get a lot done. One of them before the retrograde, and a couple of one in the middle, one after. So as you're looking at these periods of time, think to yourself, first of all, it's developmental. So, you're not going to necessarily hear, see, or taste or feel everything at the beginning. One of the cool things here is that the tadpoles change. They develop eardrums. They develop a sense of, they're able to eat. They develop a mouth and all of these other things. They lose certain things like their tail. So there's going to be 6 of Pentacles, not just this Fool energy, where you have to decide give and take. I'll let go of a little bit of this so I can explore a little bit of this. But I see iterations. So back when I used to work in more of a traditional corporate environment, there would be sprints, there would be calendars, there would be release schedules. So what I see here is 3 different points, 3 different synchronicities opening up on 14-day intervals between now and the end of January 31st. So all you have to do is kind of decide which one you want to go through. If you're going to go through all of them, what you're going to do. Pick maybe 3 to 4 goals so that you can start to iterate on them. Even when you're going through the retrograde, you can finish up stuff that you didn't do before. So just be mindful of that. Let's see here. Learn to walk before running. This is the one thing that I wanted to talk about with this. So for those of you that want to jump through something and skip the developmental, the research, or the sort of editing phase, which is what the tadpole would represent to me. It's something between being started and finished. Don't rush the process. There are times and places to rush it, but there's a lot to be gained by just kind of going through something and seeing what you can learn, seeing how you feel, seeing if there's a chance to go back and put on that finishing touch. Now, that being said, one fun fact about tadpoles is they can shift. If they're in danger, they can go through metamorphosis faster and become a frog. If there's a lot of food and they want to eat and kind of grow, they can just stay a tadpole for a while. Or if it's too cold, they wait until it's the right time. That's the key thing. For each of you, the timing will be different. And again, I see 3 windows. So one of them could be right at the beginning of the new year. One of them could be in the middle of the month, or one could be at the end of the month. We're starting that first sprint as we speak, as this video is going live. So you got 3 of those little cycles. So check in with yourself today, on the 1st, on the 15th of January, and on the 31st. I think there's 31 days, right, in January. And yes, I just checked. And see where you're at, okay? So that's that. Water is an integral piece to the survival of the frog. It begins in the water. It needs to be near it as it's an adult to keep moist and to just kind of drink as well. And then it goes back there to lay eggs for the next generation. So water is, we're going to pull the the Ace of Cups here to couple with the Ace of Pentacles. To kind of relate it to your sign, just as the scales move back and forth to find the proper balance. Water is this nice fluid energy that you don't have to be, you're not confined to rigid directions. I talk about a fish, a fish can kind of go up, down, any direction it wants to. And you don't see that all the time in all the other dimensions. So water's nice because it allows us to go places we couldn't. I've been experiencing a lot of issues with leaks this year in apartments and other areas, and water finds a way, doesn't it? It's going to find a nook, a cranny, a crevice, and it finds a way. So one thing that I can talk about from my own experience with water is it's persistent. So it's fluid and it's persistent and it's flexible. So if you can be all of those things just like water, you can find a way, and you're going to get to your destination. It just may be a different path. And if you find yourself in a tight situation, you can still get through it because water finds a way with that as well. So let your heart be the compass. You can do this, and you really want to trust how you feel. Does this connect with you on a heart level, which is something I've been talking about for the past month. A lot of the weeklies, a lot of the monthlies, we've been bringing this up, and I think that's important. Okay? There's more than meets the eye. Whenever we look at any of the symbols of metamorphosis, like I named a few, butterfly, moth, dragonfly, any of these can represent, a period where you look at it and you think that's all there is, if you didn't know more about the insect or the animal. So especially when we're looking at moths and butterflies, the worm is really radically different. It's slow, it's lethargic, it's land-based, and then all of a sudden it spends the rest of its life in flight, right? And it's beautiful, and I actually think some of the caterpillars are quite beautiful too, especially some of the ones that turn into moths. They're really cool. So that being said, some of them are deceiving, though. They're not what they appear to be. Tadpoles, not the prettiest things. Frogs, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but you would also not necessarily equate the beginning phase of a tadpole to a frog. So you might be looking at your life right now thinking, I'm so far away from what I need, or I don't fit the mold of what this title, this person, this relationship wants from me. That doesn't mean that you're not growing, changing, shifting, moving toward the potential that maybe someone else sees in you. So if someone else sees it and you don't see it yet, maybe they see something you don't in a positive way. If you really believe in yourself, but you're frustrated at outward appearances or the progress done so far, remember what I said about phases. Give yourself at least a month and a half and give yourself those 2-week sprints to see if you can get where you want to go. Okay? Imagine something greater and always think about the potential. Surface appearances can be deceiving. I pulled the Two of Swords because you're going to have to go beyond what's obvious. And you're going to have to go with what you believe, how you feel, or what you want, and see if that takes you to the next level. So, of course, we're going to talk about leaping or jumping if we're talking about the frog. Fun fact, because I like to go into facts with with this totem, frogs can jump between 10 to 20 times their body length, and those little tiny tree frogs can actually do up to 50 times their body length. And I was thinking of all the different cards that I could feature, but Eight of Wands, they're kind of sometimes like rocket ships in the air, or javelin, like I think that's what you call that, where you throw those sticks in the air. But basically all of these things are happening quickly and at once, and there's a little feather that just went by. So things are going to start to take flight for you. Focus on quality, not quantity. Set your intention, then give 110%. You can do that one little sprint. I usually say it's a long distance run, but I do feel like for many of you, there's going to be an important sprint to make, and you're going to get to the finish line and make up for lost time, which is great. I think we have one more card here. Let me just double check. No, that's it. Okay. So let's do a quick review, and then we'll get into your card reading for today. So the frog teaches us that there are many steps. The first is that inception, that belief, and that incubation period. You may be in that right now. You see the potential, you're trusting it, you're working on it, you're nurturing it. You may be keeping it close to your heart right now. Continue to show up. The universe has given you the option or opened the door, but you have to walk through it. Don't rush. You'll be able to make up time later, but I think the most important thing at the beginning is just to make sure that you get your footing, that you're feeling confident about what you're working on, and that you take a deep breath and you listen, because the developmental process here includes lungs and eardrums. So if those are absent at the beginning but come through midway in the process, listen and breathe and then act and then speak. You're going to be asked to go places or push through things that you don't think you can get through. Like the element of water, you can do it. You're getting a couple of aces, an ace of pentacles and ace of cups. Ideas and passion are coming together in an exciting way in January for you. Things are not going to be obvious. They're not going to all be spelled out. So you're going to have faith. You're going to have to dig deeper. You're going to have to see where your intuition leads you. And once you do all of this, things start to take off. I feel like you're going to have a busy Q2 because of the work that you've been doing in the first quarter of the year. Okay? So that, my friends, is the channeled messages. And we're going to be getting into the next portion, which is the Celtic Cross. And because I'm still unpacking all of the different decks, I just chose one for you. Today, we'll be using an indie deck called Star Seeker Tarot. You can go to my website, nicholasashbaugh.com, click on decks that I use in the main navigation, and you'll be able to see it there. Okay? So let's go ahead, folks, and get started. Good to have my trusty table back. Let me just put this to the side. I have to get used to the space again because it's actually nice to sit down, too. I have been kind of like crouched on couches for 3 or 4 months, so this is nice. Again, if you just joined, you can use this for your sun, rising, and moon sign, and we'll go into those a little bit deeper at the latter portion. How's everyone doing? I know this is a busy period for all of us, especially with the holidays upon us, so I hope you're pacing yourself and taking care of yourself. Happy to see the High Priestess in the near future for you. That's good. Okay, we have 2 cards that want to show up for you, which is good. Okay, give me a second to get everything assembled here. Okay, really interesting. Normally I would use this one for here, but I swapped it today. And this is your Destiny card, and we have a fault line, which shows me a big shift that's happening for many of you. So that's interesting. We'll look at both of these because, again, I was like, oh, I normally use this here. So we have the Heart of the Source here, all-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, serenity. And then we have this major shift, which is like the big so what of the month, the fault line. So I feel like the catalyst is what gets everything going, and that's going to be heart, intention, heart and soul basically here. And again, looking at this, it says unconditional acceptance, all-encompassing love and serenity. Basically being at peace with things that may or may not be in your control, because a fault line, it's going to move if it has to. You sometimes may get a pre-warning, a pre-quake, but once it happens, it happens. So there's a big movement on the horizon for you. I think the question for you, we could look at the fault line as a tower card. It's just sort of like, are you willing and ready to step up and make these changes now? Or do you want them to happen and then, you're kind of beholden to them? So we'll look into this in just a moment here. Let's go into the center and I'll continue to relate it to these 2 very powerful symbols that we see at the top. I like that we have the Eight of Cups at the center, and this is the doorway that I was talking about. The card is reversed, but let's look at it really nice and close up here. So you can see all these individual steps leading to that new portal, that new doorway on the horizon. And so for many of you, there is this sort of awakening and this calling that's happening. The Eight of Cups is a symbol of something where you're not ready to shut a door just yet. You know that something's necessary. This could be stepping away from a relationship, stepping back from work. This could be moving. It could be a combination of all these things. And it just takes a push. So the push for you is either going to be something that you decide to do or something that you wait for the universe to do. And that's really what this is. You can also be that force that is almost like the earthquake. And you just really have to, again, decide, Am I the one that's doing this, or am I waiting for someone else to? One thing that you can do is try something before fully committing. So for some of you that might be in business, this can equate to, for instance, like a sabbatical. For those of you that want to move somewhere, like to a new part of the world or the new part of your country, this would say, why not take a trip there? Take a holiday for a couple of weeks. Test it out like a local. Go to the grocery stores. See what it's like at nighttime, in the daytime, in the cold months, in the warm months. Check it out. So this is kind of like a journey and a testing of the water, and then a decision eventually to go through the door. Whether you keep the door open or closed is up to you. If you decide to leave something, someone, when the Eight of Cups appears, there is a general kind of like heads up / warning that if you're unclear, then that it's over, for instance, like enough is enough. They're going to come knocking again and say, hey, how would you feel about this? So for those of you that are juggling a lot of jobs, for instance, if you've had enough and you need to kind of like focus on a couple, you have to be clear on that. In a relationship, this is also like you've maybe been on a date or two, or maybe you've been hanging out for a while, but you're not feeling it. You have to say at some point, this isn't working. And I want you to be able to find someone that you can be with, and likewise for me. You have to cut the tie, otherwise the cord remains connected. It can be good if you want the cord connected, but if you don't, disconnect and be clear on it. That's the only thing that gets a little bit dicey with the Eight of Cups. But what I do love about this is the ability to explore, imagine, and step through something without having to kind of like jump into the cold water or the deep end and adjust to everything at once. You get a little bit of a chance to explore and see if it works for you. Crossing that, we have the Page of Swords, which is a very inquisitive, a very verbal card. So one of the things that's going to help you right now is your ability to ask questions, to basically say what's on your mind, right? And that's going to be super important to basically make sure that your voice is heard and that something important doesn't kind of slip through the radar, okay? Let me see what else I want to talk about with this. With the Page of Swords, it's also about listening skills. The traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, hold on a second here. Traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card would show the page looking over his shoulder. Sorry, it's trash day today. So let's take a look and see what's going on with this card, and I'll kind of relate it to you. So with looking over your shoulder, one thing that we would like to do is take a look at the past. Make sure that you are gathering learnings and gathering information from people that have been through this before, just like you. The other thing is to make sure that you are validating what you think you heard. So you could say to someone, hey, I think this is what you mean, or we talked about this, how are we tracking on this? Especially someone in your life that needs a little bit of a nudge. So the page always has one ear towards the past, one eye towards the future, and he's taking action, and I like that. Because you have to sometimes straddle that position, especially if you're in business. It's checking in, it's checking up, and then it's giving people what they need to do and moving on to the next thing. So do all of those things. You don't have to be the one basically doing it for them. Just sort of ask questions, check assumptions, and then move on, okay? Someone asking about moderators. No, I used to have moderators, but they all moved on to other things. So yeah, everybody be kind. I keep an eye on chat, and if anyone acts up, I'll take care of it. All right, that's why we have a delay. So just be generous, be kind, and let's continue to focus on what's important here. Looking at the deep past, we have the King of Swords. This is you, Libra, and you're showing up in a really great way in the deep past. King of Swords in reverse is getting straight to the point. That's the karmic lesson, though, that still needs to come through. And I feel like This is true of many air signs, but especially the sign of Libra. There's often a lot of empathy for others and a desire to want to please others. And in order to do that, sometimes you hold back on criticism or hold back on asking for what it is that you want. This card is saying January is presenting a period of time where you can't hold back as much. You're going to have to be a little bit more outspoken, okay? You have it in you, and you've done it before, and you can do it again. And that's basically what this card is saying. It's also a very empowered card. I especially like to see it when I'm reading for you because it represents a period where, again, we're going to need to see that strength, that power, that confidence coming through from you. So don't give up on yourself. Don't second guess yourself. You can do this. Okay, we have the Knight of Cups in reverse in the recent past. This could be a hurdle for you, especially as we're going into the retrograde period towards the end of December, beginning of January. Emotionally, how are you feeling? Are you tired? Are you exhausted? Are you sort of like, some of you might be triggered over the holiday season, a little bit sad, a little bit depressed, a little bit longing for something that might be missing. I was joking with, it wasn't Virgo, it must have been Gemini or something, or maybe it was a Weekend Collective. But I was talking about how silly the movies on television are, or even in the theaters. Most of them are creating a narrative that we can't live up to over the holidays. Maybe the most realistic one was like A Christmas Story, the one that's on TBS every year, because it's a hot mess. That's more realistic to normal families. There's always challenges, but at the end of the day, they loved each other and there was some magic in it. And I liked how messy it was because it was more realistic. I think more movies like that, less like, all of the ones that we see on the various cable channels. Although they're starting to get more inventive. I've seen a couple this season where I'm like, okay, but usually it's the same plot and it's always about giving up your career, moving home and marrying somebody that you knew as a kid. That's not realistic and that's not the script most of us are following right now. So don't watch stuff and kind of get depressed. Don't compare yourself to other people on social media too, because there's projection of their desired reality, but it may not be actually what's going on. The metamorphosis thing that we've been talking about, there's more beneath the surface, okay? So enough said with that. What are you doing to take care of yourself? The one card pull that I actually did for today has to do about self-care. And it was the Strength card in reverse. So whenever I see an otherwise strong card reversed, it's saying it's time for you to take care of yourself. And the Knight of Cups is definitely a strong card, but it's saying I need to take a step back. Knights move forward. So if the knight is moving back, it could be a strategic move to say, I need to fix something. I need to fix myself. I need to just reserve some time and energy, and then I can do this tomorrow. Okay? 2 steps forward, 1 step back, still making progress. So take a break today if you need to. I did it for a few days for the one card pulls and I got a day ahead, which everyone was complaining about for weeks. So sometimes you just have to stop everything for a moment, clear your head, reset. Do that if you need to, okay? There could be love coming into your life or an opportunity coming into your life and you're weighing that with your scales and thinking, is it enough for me? You can be discerning when the cups cards are reversed because usually there's not a capacity or desire for more when they're reversed. You have to kind of like empty out what's there, fix what needs to be fixed, and everything will continue to move forward from that. 8 of Swords, just like the 2 of Swords, represents things that aren't seen and sometimes a feeling of being uncomfortable with ambiguity. The 8 of Swords is the one card in the minor arcana that can represent being trapped or feeling like you're in a self-imposed prison. An example of this is if you're painting your house, and we use that phrase, painting yourself in a corner, imagining that you're painting the whole room and you're like, how do I get out now, right? So the cool thing with that though is the paint will dry and you can also be more strategic as you go through something. So not rushing, as I said earlier, the tadpole phase is going to be really important. Look around. Like the page card that I was just pulling up in this Rider-Waite-Smith deck, look forward and look backwards because we're in January soon, and that's Janus, two-faced God, looking at the past, looking at the future. And that is going to help you make better choices. What have I done right? What could I have done better? What am I going to do right now? And how am I going to be spatially aware of what's going on around me? These are the questions you want to ask yourself to help get through the 8 of Swords. This can also just be an understanding, a realization, this doesn't work, whatever this is for you. Current job, current relationship especially. There could be something about that where it feels like I am stuck. But the cool thing with the Eight of Swords is they're never as stuck as they seem. Even here, she's being handed an ace in this particular illustration, which I love. And they're saying, like, you can cut off those blindfolds. You can actually walk through this. And in the traditional illustration for the Eight of Swords, there's always an opening. Even if you can't see it, it's there. So there's a way in or there's a way out. Talking about the element of water, even though we're looking at air here. Water is what you need. Trust your heart, trust your ability to kind of move through it. So here's your traditional card. And if you notice, you'll see that there's nothing in front of her. There's some behind her. There's really most of it's to the side. And she just feels trapped. So if she took a couple steps forward, she'd be okay. If she listened to the person beside her in this card, she'd be okay. There's an opening. Okay, so it's just a matter of saying, I think this is the moment where I'm going to get out of this because I don't want another year of it, right? Whatever this is for some of you. And also it's just an awakening. With the Two and with the Eight of Swords, eventually you're going to take the blindfolds off. The Two of Swords is a pause before action. That's really what it is. I'm pausing here and I'm afraid. Which path, which sword do I take? The Eight of Swords, there's too much going on around me and I feel like I'm lost. Just take one of those swords and take action. And any of the tricky swords cards, you can always subtract also in swords, and it's usually better because it brings you to a different state. Not necessarily with the Six of Swords. We want to keep that one where it's at. But if you take one of the 10 swords, you go back, you're better with the Nine of Swords. Eight of Swords, actually, I'll take it back. It's not as easy as Wands. But with this, you can always look forward and backward with it and decide, can I move forward a little bit more, or what can I get from this situation? Because swords is the trickiest suit. We have the 5 and the 7 lurking there. Those are the only ones I worry about, to be honest. 3 of Swords, pain, but pain that leads to recovery eventually. 10 of Swords, a full stop. They're not as bad as they seem. They're punctuated cards, but they're not as bad as they seem. The Eight of Swords is more of a freak out version of the Two of Swords, like really getting into your headspace too much. It's amplified. But the rest of them we can pretty much navigate. 6 is good. It's moving forward. So I feel like you've been through a lot. You're ready to get through this. You're afraid. Mostly the last two that would be after 8. It's fear and it's pain. And you're afraid of pain or you're afraid of rejection. Don't be. Why? Because you're pretty empowered this month. We just kind of did a mini walkthrough of the minor arcana there. We have the High Priestess coming through, which means that you are a manifester. You don't have time to worry. You have time to, you've got stuff to do. And many of you are already being called in a different direction. I do feel like for some of you, you just see what it is. You know what it is. It's like, for some of you, this could be a new relationship. For some, it could be retirement, or it could be an independent business. Or you want to build your own house or something, but it's much more hands-on and it's much more empowered and it's much more your path. It was set up here. Look at both of these cards as they're looking out at the future. This card is reversed, so the person wasn't quite ready for what they saw. But as we're looking at, halfway between now and the end of January, it feels like you're embracing that and you're working your magic, okay? Using amethyst is actually great too. I love the purple coloring on this one. So this is a time to protect your ideas, protect yourself, move forward, know that you are protected because Spirit's working with you, and see what the future holds. Highly creative period for you. What's kind of interesting here is we see I love that we got the Lovers and Devil right next to each other because they are different versions of the same energy. And we'll look at the traditional cards in just a moment. But you can go either way. You can give in to fear and kind of shackle yourself into a situation, or you can go towards liberation. The choice is here. The choice is here, and you have to just decide which way. So which way, Libra? You've got two choices, and they're radically different. Let's see why we're getting like this sort of shift in or fork in the road. We'll start with the presenting card, the Knight of Wands. Another powerful card, also reversed. We see a mermaid here, and it's basically saying, I don't know if I want in or if I want out. When I think of the mermaid too, I also think of like the Little Mermaid. Feeling like you're trapped between two worlds, or that you can't be what others want you to be. At the end of the story and at the end of the day, you should be yourself. You can't change to get someone else's affection or love. That's the one thing that we could take from that story. You have to be authentic. Knight of Wands going into the traditional card would be about moving in a direction that feels right and actually is moving everything forward. So if you're doing something where you have to continue to go back and fix something again and again, maybe because someone isn't listening, maybe because you don't have the right materials or the right support, then it's counterproductive. You're working backwards. So break that cycle. That's one thing that's coming through. And then we have the Four of Wands here showing love and support. You don't have to do this alone. It is reversed, but this is just saying, look around. The person that could be most helpful may be just waiting for you to reach out and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, yeah, I'm ready for this help. Someone wants to lift you up. Someone wants to elevate you. But if you're stuck fixing everybody else's messes, focusing on everyone else's problems, very much aligned with the strength card that I pulled for today, it can be exhausting at the end of the day and you don't have enough left to give. So my advice for you is to let the other person deal with what they need to, be your authentic self, and look around and see who's been there all along, who has my back, who's offering me something that's engaging or interesting. I think it's really important right now. And then all of a sudden, when you are yourself, also these two cards are like the better version of the Little Mermaid, where, she doesn't have to change who she is. The person loves her for who she is, and they both can be happy, being their authentic selves, not having to change for one another. That's really the sort of metaphor in this. The original Little Mermaid was a lot darker. And again, it was about unrequited love. So when we're looking at unrequited love for you right now, it can come in different ways. Like, again, it could be you want to buy a house, you go to the bank, they don't give you a loan. You feel like they've rejected you and your dream is not where it needs to be. There could be a better house. There could be a better rate. There could be a better something out there for you. Don't jump before you're ready. Remember to learn how to walk before you run. If there's a person in your life and they say, if you were only more like this, then I would love you. It can be your partner, or worst, it could be like a parent sometimes saying, be more like your sister, brother, etc. Then that's conditional, and they aren't ready to truly love and embrace you for your true self. So you could do better. You get an upgrade, and the upgrade's coming, Libra. You've waited long enough for this upgrade too, many of you. It's right there in the environment. You're already ready to call it in, but you have, these two cards tell a story. So this is self-love, and this is the self-love bringing in Four of Wands, which is marriage and partnership in the highest form, which is why it's elevated. So once you're ready to love yourself unconditionally, that love gets returned and gets echoed back. And then we have the Lovers, which is one of the best cards that one could pull for the environment. It's showing that you have an attractive energy. If you're looking for love, if you're looking for partnership, if you're looking for good luck, it's right there in the environment. It's on the horizon. It's within reach. But you're being limited by your own fears. And I like that this devil has like greedy hands. Also a little bit of temptation, come hither. And we can see that there's being this sort of like this line that's being put around them, right? Cords, a creation of cords. I also like that we're not really focusing so much on the figure, more on the cords here. Look at your current relationships. Do you have to pull people to do something, force them to do something? Is someone else trying to mold, shift, or change you? Is it a one-way street, giving but not receiving? Is it unbalanced, which is so not cool for fellow Libra, right? We need to have the balance. So if you don't feel the balance, it's time to, tell them to show up in the right place. And if not, pull back a little bit. Focus on places where the balance exists. I always like to show these two cards next to each other. The traditional illustrations are a little bit easier to see how it's really the same energy. One is elevated, one is not. The main difference between the two, and you'll see it as I pull it in just a second, with the traditional Lovers card, we see them in a Garden of Eden with an angel behind them with love, looking at each other. In the other one, they are basically bound together, not by unconditional love, but by fear, or by a contract that no longer serves either of them. And so it's seeing something for what it truly is. If you're just in it because you said you were going to be in it, but you don't want to be in it, whether it's love, job, relationship, etc., it's time to move on. So here are the two original cards. So the Lovers, paradise, basically. And this one, it's hell, but the hell is self-inflicted. So the main difference are the chains. Both of them have an angel. This is just not the highest angel. So we want to look at if we take the angels out of it, it's actually the chains between each other. that is the difference. It's conditions, it's kind of like trappings, and you can imagine it as an anchor, things that are anchoring you in a place that they don't want to be. Hey, buddy, let's say hi to everyone. So Apollo showing some unconditional love for all of us in this moment. Good to see you, buddy. Still getting used to his settings here as well. So anyway, unconditional love. Dogs are a great example of that. So are cats. All they need occasionally is a little affection, a walk, some food, and they're going to love you until the end of their days and your days. So that's unconditional love, folks. If you have to change yourself, it's not right. If you have to force yourself to do something, it's not right. And so you're very much at a fork in the road where you decide, if not now, then when. It's really a decision of when to make a break. So look into your life and see where that break, where that shift needs to happen, and map it out. January would be a great time. You could do it now. You could do it at the end of January. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the opportunity, by the way, is to cut the cord. If I'm going to get the devil card, I'd rather it be in hopes, fears, and opportunities, because fears we can deal with. Opportunities we can also deal with. And really what this is the ability to be hopeful that you're through this and to manifest beyond this. Manifest this. Don't manifest this. Don't give in to fear. Don't let someone control you. Don't worry about this. Focus instead on this idea, which is here on the top here, the Ace of Wands in reverse. And so how is your vitality this month, Libra? Are you feeling energetic? Are you feeling exhausted? How's your passion about what you're working on? Do you feel engaged? Do you not? How about the relationship? Are there sparks or are there not? So cool. Let's see if I can show a picture. My phone is over here, but I have a fireplace in the other room, and it's a gas fireplace. But I couldn't get the spark started. It's so interesting too, now that I have it set up in my place. It's very nice to sort of have the energy of fire in the living room. So that's my fireplace. And again, someday we'll do something in front of that, but it actually keeps it a nice toasty 70 degrees. It's really nice. I enjoy it. And I took for granted, kind of like, again, sometimes we just forget like what it takes to get the start, to get the sort of spark started. So with all of that being said, for some of you, you may need a hand. I had to call someone in and they were showing me how to get this ignition started. You had to like hold it for a minute and then light it and do this or all these things. But once the spark is there, it's there. It's kind of like an eternal flame. So you may need some help getting that spark going, right? And if you do, ask for help. If you're not feeling it though, you can't fake it. Whatever it is where you're not feeling completely engaged or connected to it, if you can't feel it, don't force it. And if someone else can't help kind of get it started, then it's also an indication from the universe it might be better to look in a different direction, okay? So you need the spark. Where's the spark, Libra? And that's really what we're going to look at as we take a look in a few moments at the big idea. But I want to go first to the expanded forecast. So the expanded forecast comprises 4 areas: health, wealth, love, and destiny. This is a chance for us to dig into all of those spaces that matter the most to us. I like to let the main card pulling just go in whatever direction it needs to, and then I look at the stuff I know you care about and I care about. As I look at health, a reminder that I'm looking at energy and opportunities and synchronicities. If there's anything going on in your body, or if there's any mental or emotional things that you're working through, ask for help. It's honestly very normal in this time of year to feel intense energy and intense feelings, so there's a lot of folks out there that can help if you need it. All right, let's take a look at your health card. Actually, I don't need to shuffle for this. I was going to do the big idea. Health card, we have the divine timing. So everything that I was talking about earlier with respect to the tadpole phase, moving through things and not rushing it, definitely comes through with this. So the divine timing card reversed. Trust in it. You can't manufacture a perfect synchronicity. It has to be a combination of the universe seeing that you're ready, you being ready, and being a little bit disconnected from something and thinking, I could take it or leave it. And then once you kind of have that sense of ease, things will be okay. Don't rush something that doesn't feel right. Now, if we look at just general advice for the body, if someone says, I have this amazing diet, you should try it, and after one day you're feeling really lousy, that's not for you. It's not the right time, and it might not be the right thing for you. If everyone around you is either getting married or having children and you don't feel like you want to do that right now, don't do it right now. Divine timing. If there's something where you're being asked to like push your body in a way that you didn't want to do it, like you have going to a gym and someone's saying, lift more weights, move more, do more of this, and it doesn't feel right, don't do it. You could pull a muscle. Focus on what feels right. We're not talking about the lethargic piece where it's like, I don't want to do it. It's more like, I know if I do that, it won't go well. Or this doesn't resonate with me. This doesn't feel right. That's what we're talking about here. It's either the right time or it isn't. It's either the right amount or it isn't. Everything in the divine time here, okay? Also recovery, someone was asking about my foot. It's much better. I'm finally wearing regular shoes now, and that helps. But I have to take my time and I have to be very cognizant of where I'm walking, and I can't walk as much as I used to. At the end of the day, I have to take off the shoes and rest my feet. But we're getting there. It'll take another probably 2 to 3 months. And I need to get physical therapy started now that I've moved in. That was on my to-do list. But divine timing, don't rush it. Like the 7 of Pentacles in tarot, basically, right? Okay, let's look at the cards and relate it to the divine timing message. Looking at health as well. Okay, first things first. You can't ignore something. This isn't always about vision or hearing. It can also be about something being not really obvious. Sometimes other people can see when something's off with you or when something's better. They'll say, oh my goodness, you look really well rested. What's going on? Or have you lost weight? Do you feel okay? If someone else is noticing a change in you, it could be a change for the better, then that's good. Then they're seeing something. If they're also bringing up something that they're concerned about, listen, sometimes people around us can pick up on that. There could also be a solution that isn't really obvious to you. So this is about, again, looking beyond the surface and not ignoring something, especially if it is something that someone brings up. Let's see what else is going on here. The devil, it's in hopes, fears, and opportunities. So it feels like for many of you, you've turned a new corner, you've turned a new leaf. The 8 of Cups is saying, I'm going to break a cycle when it's reversed. This is making and breaking cycles. This is also, by the way, second chances. So you're getting a second chance to do something right, to do something better. There's always temptation, but there's a lot of support. There's a lot of support between the 4 of Wands and the Lovers here. So lean on the support or find the support around you. That's going to be the difference between success or instability, okay? Let's see what else is coming through. Emotional well-being is so important right now. So like I said with the Knight of Cups, find the support you need, not just in friends, but possibly if you need to talk to a counselor as well. Yes, that's a good time for that. There could be changes in your sleep or diet routine that are necessary. Working with a health professional for this is going to be paramount. But if you are feeling exhausted, talk to someone. It could be more than just a seasonal, sort of thing with it being dark or, winter time. Finally here, if there is a person, an activity, or an environment around you that pulls you back into old habits, bad habits, then this is something you want to cut from this period of time, because I see things going in the right direction for you overall, okay? Throat activation, some of you, this is interesting, this is more metaphysical than physical, but let's say you've been kind of having a lot of issues with your throat. You've gone to the doctor and everything, you're like, why does it keep coming through here? So sometimes when we need to use our voice or need to speak our truth, this chakra opens up or can get blocked. I had one of the most profound experiences I had was I was going through a difficult period. I was in a job that I didn't like, and there were people around me that wouldn't let me kind of like speak my truth. And I just randomly went into the first church that I could find and just sat there, and I looked at just a statue, holy statue, and I meditated on it, and it was a statue of Jesus. It could have been anybody, but my throat kind of seized. I could feel this warm energy go in there, and I was a little worried. It was kind of weird, but for 2 days, I couldn't speak. But then after that, I kind of figured out what I wanted and needed to say, because I basically had a sore throat. It's like laryngitis came through out of nowhere. And I realized I better speak up. I better say what I need to say, because otherwise I'm losing my voice. Kind of like I had to lose it in order to realize I need my voice. I need to use it. So through prayer and meditation, an ascended master came through and just said, this is where you need to focus, Nicholas. Fix it. So I did. And that was fine. It was more of a metaphysical thing that manifested in a physical thing. The laryngitis was real, but the source of it was more metaphysical, which was speak your truth. So sometimes weird stuff like that happens where if you don't deal with it a localized sickness or ailment can happen because the energy system is kind of like turned down. So Libra, use your voice this month. We don't want any sore throats. We don't want any laryngitis. You need to be able to be yourself. If there's something that needs to be said, don't let someone else put words in your mouth either. You are your own kind of best advocate, and that's the other thing with the Devil card. Someone doesn't want you to be as powerful, as strong as you can be. Okay? Otherwise, I like everything. This is just one little side note that I saw there. Okay, let's go ahead now and move from health to wealth. And we have ascension here. It's time to move up, move out, or move on. So let's look at this card first. It's reversed, but that just to me means, are you ready? It's really a question from the universe. So the caption says, move into true self, rise above darkness. The light is here. And then we have a solar deity here, Serapis Bey, I think you would say it. But I'm looking at the solar disc on his head, and that energy of, we also see like the feathers here getting ready to take flight. So many of you are at this precipice where I feel like if you can't have the breakthrough that you need in the next 2 to 3 months, then what I was talking about with this Eight of Swords earlier is definitely resonating again with career. Either you are heard and seen, or you're going to open that new door and go somewhere else. And it's going to be better, folks. So really be firm this time and really speak your mind. Say no if you mean no. That's also what the king is saying. Not like, well, I have to look at this, or, no, just sometimes people need to hear no. So use that energy if you need to. Let's take a look at all of the cards here. I need to take a little drink of water, and then we'll continue to break through all of these messages. Okay, so looking at work. This is a really good year to expand your network. The Lovers card in the environment is super receptive. So between the time that I read this and then also all the way through the end of January, you have a much higher likelihood of being heard or seen, whether that's you putting a resume out there, you asking for help, etc., etc. This is a really good time for people to be more open. You have to love yourself though, and you have to love what you're putting out. This card is basically saying that. Love yourself unconditionally, others will too, and then we see a return on that. If you don't, then you pull in this energy, which is people that are willing to teach you. Okay, I'll show you. I'll show you, the other side if you want that. I actually believe like hell is a place that you go to if you need to experience it. It's not like you're damned. You choose to go there if you want to experience that because you feel like we actually would commit ourselves to that because we would say, I cause pain, so I want to feel pain. So it's a dimension that is optional and you don't have to go there. And it's not something where you have to stay either. You can work through your karma in many lifetimes. That's why we reincarnate. You can experience the hell experience if you want to, or you can move out of it. So in real life, it's very much similar. You can experience the love experience or you can experience the hell experience. So let's stop. We don't need that. No more. If it's a hellish work environment, if there's someone around you that has that sort of very chaotic energy, we're going to shift that out in 2023. Enough. It's the year of the Lovers for you. That's what's around you. It's the year of the Four of Wands. El Diablo can go somewhere else. There's someone else that wants to call in that energy, but it's not Libra this year. Okay. Some of you have been sitting on an idea for a while, Ace of Wands, but you have to take action. The devil can represent inaction, laziness, and it can also be exhaustion. So sometimes we're just too tired, but we need to get some of the energy of the devil, which can be things that we don't want to do, people that we don't need to be around, and things that don't serve us out of the picture, and then our power comes back. The devil likes it when that card is reversed right above him. He feeds off of all of these things, fear, sadness, all of that, and we need to move beyond. There could be leadership that lacks vision. These two cards are totally like a power-hungry leader that isn't listening or paying attention to stuff. You can open up your own doorway into another path. You can't change someone like that. That's one piece of really valuable advice that I could give you. If there's someone that's just a bad leader, you can't change the leader. The culture maybe the board of directors can then oust the leader, but you can't change that person. They have to experience an awakening and become more accountable. But If the leader's bad, then it's not a great place to be in the long run. So look at that and decide, is it worth it? And is anyone around you trying to do something about that? Or is everyone following suit? So, company's only sometimes as good as the leader. Bad leader, bad place, time to move on. Lots of passion. If we just look at these 3 cards in the center, plus this, take action on your heart, on your ideas, open up your own door, open up your own path, follow that idea, see where it leads you. We also have heart of source. So you basically are the source. Your heart is also the source. So don't look to others for your light or your fire. It comes from within. See if there's anything else here. Don't sign a contract right now if it doesn't feel right, especially as you can, let's look at the calendar, I would say basically from almost the time of Christmas to the middle of January. You want to be very mindful of that as we're going through the retrograde period and the pre-shadow and post-shadow. Right now or at the end of January, a little bit better, but if there are strings attached, if you don't like it, don't do it, folks. It's not the right time. You have to fight for what you want. You have to basically be justice in this situation. But if you're looking for work, you can find it. And it's through your networks. If you want to launch something, move beyond fear, you can launch it. If you are wondering, can I get to the next level? You're already set up. If it doesn't exist where you're at, go somewhere else. You're ready for that next level, okay? So it is a time to level up, but it's really a check-in. Is this the place to do it? And if it isn't, find a place where you can level up. All right, that's everything for work. Let's take a look at love. With respect to love, we have rainbow, waterfall, miracles. It's a lot of words. All right, so the rainbow happens after a period of sadness or a period of movement, water being a common theme today. So on a lot of 10 of Swords cards, you would see the rainbow sometimes, or sometimes even on if it's a sadness card like the 5 of Cups, maybe you could see a rainbow. You have to move through the mourning, through that period of loss, and then something good comes. Waterfall. When we're looking at relationships right now, it's like a floodgate for some of you. You're feeling a lot. So you could be falling in love, falling out of love. You could just have a lot of feelings and nothing to channel it into. So the most important thing is where to put the energy. And we'll look at that as we kind of dig into relationships. I like that we see miracles and we see butterflies on this. And let's see, 1, 2, 3 butterflies, 3 periods of those 14 days, because we have about 15 left in this month, 14, 15. And then you have 2 of those coming through in January, connecting it to the tadpole growth cycle. So yeah, you have up to 3 miraculous synchronistic events that want to come through. And some of them are regarding people. You got 2 partnership cards, the 4 of Wands and the Lovers. Even the Knight of Cups can be a partnership card. So there's your 3 miracles through 3 different people. You are the conduit, you are the spark, but there's someone else that's going to receive that spark. And together you guys make the fire, the flame, just like my fireplace, right? So keep on looking, don't stop believing, like the Journey song. Don't stop believing, don't stop looking. Continue to move through things and don't let one negative experience take you out of your power or out of your passion. Okay, looking at the cards here in 3 different areas. We're going to look at those of you in love, looking for love, or single and happy. So beginning with those of you in love, all-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, serenity. Are you feeling that? You may not be feeling that right now. So it's really about working on these energies again. Loving yourself, loving your partner, and knowing that there's certain aspects of their personality that are not going to change. Whether you fell in love, whether they showed that when you fell in love with them or it's something that developed over time, there are certain things, again, that's just sort of like that's part of their personality. So if you can't change it, can you love it? If you can't love it, can you accept it? Or can you make peace with it? And if you can't, then there's a bigger issue at heart here. Let's look at what's going on with you guys right now. So if I just look at the core of the relationship here, it's kind of hot and cold. The 8 of Cups is a card where when it's good, it's good. When someone's distant, they're very distant. There's always a return that makes it worth the wait or worth the work. But it'd be nice if I could see a little bit more consistency. So that's one thing that I see with current relationships is sometimes they're in, sometimes they're not. And that leaves you wanting. And it feels like there's a lot of you having to kind of like be the reconnection. kind of like that old operator. I've used that metaphor before, where she has to pull the connections together. Sometimes that makes you be bossier than you want to be, or your other the partner. So basically, we see definitely an immaturity or an inactive throat chakra, and then we see a very active one here. So one person does a lot of the talking, and it's sometimes they have to say or do things that they don't want to have to say or do. So don't fall into the parental role with the partner. That's not fun. You may see something they don't, and you're going to have to decide, is it my job to explain this, or should I let them come to the realization? If it's something that's important to your happiness or your health, then you may just have to use a different method. If they're not if they don't listen, then maybe they're more visual. If they're not visual, maybe they need to see it, to feel it. So however the person kind of like interprets things, you might have to work with them a little bit differently to convey information. The good news is you can definitely reignite the spark if you want to. You can't change someone. They shouldn't want to change you. And there's a decision now. Are we going to get back into that unconditional love, or are we focusing on this tug of war here? It's challenging on this one, because what I really think when we're looking at this, I do get a common thread of love here, but one of you wants something that the other one doesn't, and compromise is going to have to probably be the solution here. So it may be on the timing. Maybe you want to do something now, but your partner doesn't, so you're going to just delay it a bit. Maybe it's going to be on how much of something you're going to get. So like if you were looking to buy a house, for instance, maybe you wanted a bigger one and you're going to have to look for a smaller one, or you're going to have to move further out to get the size that you want. So compromises are going to be necessary. We don't want all or nothing, and that's really what this is setting up. So the biggest piece of advice to existing relationships is don't go for all or nothing. Try not to ignore the obvious, or try not to only convey something one way. The flexibility, that element of water, which we've been talking about, is going to be really important. What I do like about things is it feels like you are able to get real and to speak when we look at deep past. It does feel like there's a lot of love to be had here. And there's just some fear and uncertainty around how to get what you want, or how they can get what they want. On a very rare kind of so that's for most of you. It feels like it's manageable, and the two outcome cards are positive. High Priestess, Ace of Wands. As long as you can get on the same mental page, we can get back into the love energy here. There is, for some of you, a person around you that we need to be mindful of. It doesn't have to be a third party. This doesn't have to represent an affair. It can actually be a parent. This can be a mother or mother-in-law that's stepping in, or a father or father-in-law, or a grandparent. They're coming in and they want things their way. And maybe they're holding the financial strings, putting the risk, or saying like, if you don't do this, I'll take you out of my will, or something like that. If they're using love as a bargaining chip, they're not really in it. They're not really ready. And they're using money or power like that to try to force you to do something. So the important thing here for the two of you is to stand up for each other. If that party is coming in. This can represent an ex. It can represent temptation, in which case honesty and communication is going to be important, because it's all going to come out. The devil card always, you're never going to win with the devil card. So better to be honest, better to be clear. And there could be someone from the past that just isn't aware of where you're at right now. And you say, no, thank you. Goodbye. Close that door. And this can also represent like an old job, or someone that you used to hang out with, but they bring out the worst, and you just say, no, I'm in a different path now. And that's it. Close the door. And that's basically it. The good news, though, if we look at, it's all about communication. Deep past, King of Swords reversed, near future, High Priestess, outcome, Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands is reversed. Passion could be lacking a little bit. So the good news here, though, is that there's a lot of friendship and a lot of joy. And I feel like if you can get back into that, if you can get back into just enjoying being around each other, the spark happens when it's ready to happen. But you can't force that either. So if that's missing, have a conversation with your partner about intimacy, about dreams, about desires, and that will actually help assuage and get rid of the energy of the devil as well. Okay. Now, let's take a look if you're looking for love. If you're looking for love, a Capricorn could be coming in, because the devil can be a Capricorn. And there's so many positive cards around this, it could be a Capricorn. Additionally, what we're seeing is It's in your hands. The timing is in your hands to some degree. Really look around you and think, am I ready? Because the universe already has it set up here. So we could have a really cool earth sign, a Capricorn coming in. I like the energy of this person. Friendship, love, it kind of gets serious pretty quickly. But there's a part of you that's saying, am I worth it? Is it real? Is it ever going to happen? These questions don't help. Instead, think to yourself, I'm worthy, I'm ready, let's bring it. And let's bring it on now. And then get your life cleaned up. The Devil card still serves as a reminder to clean up health, finances, relationships. For me, I have boxes to unpack, which I will be doing later today. And get your space clean, get your energy, get your head clean. All of that will help bring in that really nice energy. You've got a lot of choices here, by the way. There could be someone from the past. Make sure that if it's a Capricorn, cool. But if it's a temptation sort of energy, not so cool. I also get, for some of you, there could be a water sign coming back here too. They need a lot from you. This is the interesting thing. This person is still sorting out their own life. So I think you're going to be in a much better place to just manifest someone new than to deal with someone old. So let it be someone new, maybe an amazing Capricorn, maybe something else that you want. You have choices, you have options. Within 1 month, you could start to see that person coming into your life, okay? So I think it's about new energies for those of you that are looking for new love. Clean up your business. That will help as well. And that's the only advice that I have here right now. All right, let's focus now on those of you that are single and happy. Well, it's a great time to be single and happy. I think that many of you are looking to walk your own path. Even this High Priestess reminds me a bit of the Fool card. She's looking towards the future. She's sort of embracing the potential. And she says, you know what? I don't want to be told what to do. I want to decide who I want to work with. I want, I basically want to focus on being my own person and creating my own team and all of that jazz. So I see a lot of independence here coming through for you. Your network does matter though. Four of Wands and the Lovers. That's a lot of people energy around you. You're showing up as being attractive, attracting that energy, and then also being people being attracted to you. So I see a lot of people around you, even if you are single and happy. Friends and business alliances and just random new people coming into your life that could be whatever you want them to be. Okay, so this is a pretty powerful time for those of you that are single and happy. And that is everything with respect to relationships. Let's move into your destiny card. So the fault line. The interesting thing with a fault line, being in California, living on the San Andreas as well as many other fault lines, is that what happens a lot of times with this is that there is tension and energy and it needs an outlet. And when things get to be too tense or too intense, basically there has to be a release. So first things first, if we just look at the mechanics of, this is basically a slip slide fault. There's like 3 different faults. There can be faults that kind of push up against each other like the Himalayas, right? Then there's like faults that go underneath. A lot of times we see that along the continental shelf. And then there are these back and forth ones. And there's probably some other ones that I missed, but those are the 3 that I remember from geology. So with the back and forth, there's friction, there's tension, and there needs to be moments where the tension is released. So are you feeling like a 10 of Swords moment where if you don't get a break, you're going to just verbally spew out things that you regret? Or are you going to get sick because you've been burning the candle at both ends? Or are you going to argue with the one that you love? Or are you just going to give up on something and walk away because you're sick of it? We need to find a way to make sure that the rapid movement doesn't happen. It's better if there's a lot of little tiny movements instead of one big rapid sort of shift. So one thing that I could give you advice with whenever we see something like a fault line is speak up often. Speak the truth, speak kindly, and you can be critical, but it has to be constructive. So speak up and speak often. And that's going to help you not have a major earthquake when it comes to conversations and what the conversations do. It's a lot easier. Let's say you're working on something important at work, for instance, and someone has a lot of feedback. It's so much better for them to give you iterations of that as you go along, rather than you deliver everything and then they put red marks all over it. And it's like, I can't deal with it. So that would be my advice also, is to ask for feedback more often. Don't hold it so close to the heart so that you put all your heart and energy into it, but it's not right because it wasn't what they were looking for. Frequent check-ins, frequent back and forth exchanges, that's what's going to be necessary to avoid this. It kind of helps with the relationship card, actually. It's touching it, it's connected to it. So it doesn't have to get to this point unless you want to. Okay? Finally, and most importantly, this is the Tower. Things are going to change. Things are going to move. You can control to some degree how much they're going to move. You can make it a Tower reversed if you want. But at the end of the day, change is upon you. And this is going to be a year of significant change, which is why the frog came through for you. But you can leapfrog through that. You can come out, on your feet, standing, and things will be okay. All right. Now let's pull the big idea, which is going to help us figure out how can we make sense of all of this? What can we do with all of this energy? So let's take a look and see. Well, you got two big ideas. So we're going to look at them. All right. For the first one, speaking of the fire, we have the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is great because everything you set your mind to, you can do. And you can actually handle a lot more than people expect you can handle. What's amazingly cool about the way this one was illustrated is she holds the two wands upright by her. So she's the Two of Wands in the face of the Seven of Wands. It's actually 3 cards in one. So we have Two of Wands, Five of Wands, add it together, we have the 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, good. So Five of Wands, you're actually going to have to lead people. So the Two of Wands is leadership. You're going to emerge from a group as a leader and then go back into the group and work with them. And together, all of you are going to be the Seven of Wands instead of having to exist in the 5. So the Two Wands can represent money, resources, ideas, new things. And so together you're stronger, but you elevate it even higher and get basically through something. This is where you can actually become a king or a queen because of this work. So I like that. So you can do everything but delegate, investigate, interrogate, all of those sort of energies of moving through it, not just accepting things at face value. That's the presenting energy. Let's see what was sticking to it. We have the Nine of Cups celebration. Yay for that. Beautiful weeping willow above the Nine of Cups. A chance to really soak in the moment, be present, fully present. That's something that we don't always associate with it, but I like this one because I can see them. It's almost like a sauna, soaking in the moment and just saying, I worked hard to get here. Let's celebrate this for a moment. If you can do anything between now and the new year, take a moment to celebrate surviving. That's one thing that I'm celebrating this year. My foot's mending each and every day. I got through some tumultuous events, losing someone, having to move a lot, having to deal with a lot, and I'm here. And it's December and we're looking at a new year. So I'm going to celebrate getting through that, folks, because survival is worth celebrating. Maybe you had a great year. Maybe you found love. Maybe your money is in a good position. Maybe your health is better than ever. Celebrate those little victories because every single year, every single day brings unexpected twists and turns. So today, right here, right now, when you're watching the reading, I want you to do something kind for yourself. If not right now, then later today. Even if it's as simple as going and getting a bite to eat with a friend, or, saying tonight I'm going to treat myself to something, a meal out, a massage, a chiropractic adjustment, some time with my partner, whatever. It doesn't have to involve money, but something that you love. Do something that you love, something that makes you feel love, and celebrate how far you've come. I love the weeping willow metaphor, bending, not breaking. That's also part of this message for the year ahead. Okay. Let's go ahead now and take a look at blessings and blocks. This will help you get in that celebratory mood. Let's see what we can embrace and things that we need to be mindful of. Okay. For the blessing, Six of Swords, which I talked about earlier, movement. And for the block, these cards want to stick together, but here we go. The Emperor, perfect. Okay. Let's take a look at these and we'll break it down. So we'll start first with the blessing. It may not have happened in the time that you wanted, but change happened. And for some of you, it's going to happen. So we see the Six of Swords and we see this beautiful, bright, pearly gate and we see people moving through it. This is death and rebirth. It's one of the 3 most obvious death and rebirth cards. Actually, I think there's like 4. So of course we have death, we have the Six of Swords, we have judgment, and Four of Swords. Those are all the cards that can be death. The cool thing with the Six of Swords is the loss of something, the removal of something, or the movement towards something brings you closer to a better tomorrow. The pearly gate. Have you noticed all the gates that have been coming through on the cards? So here's a gate. Let's look at the cards here. I think it's the third gate. This was a gate. So this is the first. We talked about synchronicities. She's walking towards one here. Let me just make sure I haven't missed another one. I think that might be it. Okay, so yeah, this is the third gate. So I mentioned every 14 days, you have one right now. You're creating the next one for the end of this month. And then there's another one. So yeah, you're in it. You're kind of coming out of one. You're creating one, then there'll be at least a couple of more. So anyway, you're creating this next one and it's requiring. The one that I would say is New Year's. So Eight of Cups, you're probably just coming through. High Priestess, you're creating. This is going to come through right in the new year. So where are you headed? What do you want to do? Are you ready and willing to kind of go from point A to point B? It does require a little bit of travel or a little bit of separation, but it's for the right. It's happening at the right time, and it's going to open up a better tomorrow. Okay, so movement. That's your blessing. However you're being pushed to move toward or away from something, that's your blessing. The block. Someone else thinks they know how to do it. Someone else thinks they know when to do it. Someone else thinks that they are the ones that can decide if you can do it. But you are actually the emperor. You're the one that's going to decide how, when, and if, okay? And notice how this emperor is kind of crossing their arms and saying, I don't know about that. Well, you do. So do what you need to do. Move forward and take control of the situation. That's the blessing, that's the block. All right, let's move into viewers and readers' choices. And let me turn the camera down so you can see it. We'll create a poll together and see what we can focus on here. Okay. So looking at the cards in front of us, I think it's really interesting and important to decide how and when to, like these portals. So I'm going to ask how and when to move forward. How and when to move forward. And then I'm going to focus on the Devil card because it's the most challenging one. So I'll look at that one for you. Breaking a cycle. Advice on that. And then the fault line is pretty important. So how to move with change. Because it's really, I'm going to put like the Tower as well so we know what we're looking at. Okay, there's some options for you. I'm going to look at how to avoid the energy of the devil or how to navigate it when it shows up in your life. So clarifying the energy surrounding the devil, the Chariot. It's so interesting because this is about control and this is about taking control. And this was also, when I was looking at this, my guides were like, look to the left, you're the source. You have this, basically, is what the message is with the devil. So turning around, changing direction, taking the wheel, and basically saying, this is what I want. This is how it's going to be done. This is another power card. Emperor, Empress, Chariot, they're all power cards. And any one of them can overcome the energy of the devil. Strength card could also do it because she's able to put her hands in the mouth of a beast, get her way. But this one is a little bit more important because it's saying, which way do you want to go? What do you want to do? And what do you stand for? There's a lot more with the Chariot because it is a directional card. Any vehicle is directional. So your GPS, your intention, your direction very much matters. The reason the devil's coming in for you is you don't know where you want to go, some of you. Or you're not certain that you can do it or that this is the way to get there. So get certain, get clear, and get that path sorted out. Then you can face to face with the version of the devil that's coming in your life. You could just say, no, I'm sure. Yeah, this is what I want. Am I not clear? How can I make this clear to you? And the more you stand firm in that, the more that energy will dissipate. Okay? So it's the lack of clarity on your direction that is bringing in the devil energy, and that's how you can get clear of the devil energy. Okay, let's see what you chose for me, and we'll go to that next. Very close. You guys kind of wanted me to read everything today. Let me give it a chance to tabulate. So yeah, we have a clear winner here, how and when to move forward. So we're looking at those portals. Let's see if there's an indication environmentally or time-wise, like how can you recognize, I would say just the next upcoming portal, since all of you will be watching at different times. I love this deck, but it is so sticky. Okay, Six of Cups is coming through a person, and they may, again, do it at an inconvenient time. So we have the Six of Cups, the card is reversed. So someone's coming into your life and saying, hey, remember me? Or hey, remember we talked about this? Or what do you think about this? I think you would be perfect for it. They are seeing something that you don't see. They are inviting you at a time when you normally would say no. Hey, you should come to this party. I'm inviting someone. Yeah, you should go to the party. That someone may be the right connection for work. You might meet a new friend, or it may be love. And this is some good stuff here too, because chemistry will be a part of this. You either feel it or you don't. And with the Six of Cups, you definitely feel it. So if you meet someone and you vibe, you're like, I really like this person and I feel like we could partner together, we could live together, we could work together, and it would be a good energy. That's what it's going to take. It'll just feel right, and it's going to be very inviting. But remember that part of that inviting piece is you're being invited places, doors are being opened. Say yes to some of them, even if you're normally in a sort of hermit phase. That's going to be an important piece to that. Okay? Now let's move on to sun, rising, and moon messages, and then we'll do the quarterly forecast. All right, so this can always be used for any part of your chart, but I always like to dig into these three areas because I know many of you watch when you're in sun, rising, and moon. So let's take a look and see what the messages are. Sun, rising, and moon. We'll begin with sun sign messages first. We have the Four of Swords. I talked about all the different death and rebirth cards. This is one of them. Look at the beautiful rainbow in the background. I mentioned some of the cards that have to do with loss. You'll sometimes see that. So we can see it very gently. Can you kind of, in the background there. The cool thing with this, wind chimes, it's the only deck that I have where you actually would see wind chimes on this card. So, and interestingly enough, as I was walking to get, to take Apollo on his walk and get some food this morning, I saw someone carrying wind chimes and they were like, good morning. And I thought, how interesting. I think they were just an eclectic local that likes to go down the street and like put some nice sound therapy out there. And I was like, okay, that's kooky and fun. But it actually is quite good. That's one of the ways that you can clear energy in your space. You can take, like for me, every time I keep playing a singing bowl in a space, it just keeps clearing the space. But you can take a bell, just a standard dinner bell, and ring it around your house. You can take chimes. I have them in one of my boxes. But you can take chimes and play them, a xylophone, any of these things. And sound therapy works in a space because it actually brings the energy up a little bit. So for some of you, one of the things here is saying clear your space through sound. It's also saying take care of yourself and listen to what you feel, because sound is a frequency. So the Four of Swords, typically we would see someone on a bed or a sepulcher and it's saying put it to rest, or when you're resting, you're going to receive this vibration or this insight. So slow it down. So for all of my Libra sun, slow down, be present. And you got, the Six of Swords earlier, now we're getting the Four of Swords here. So it takes time to heal from a loss. It takes time to adjust to a new movement. The timing doesn't also need to be like, don't do anything. It's just allow this to take the path that it needs to. Your heart sometimes is either ahead or catching up with the physical self. Sometimes we feel like we're sleepwalking through our lives because our heart's somewhere else. Sometimes our heart's already there and we're stuck at work. We want to go hang out with our friends. So I think you have an opportunity to find your heart and synchronize with that this month. So either, give it some time to catch up to you or get closer to where your heart wants to be. Does that make sense? I hope it does. That's the main message I get. Find your heart, get where the heart is. That's where the action will be. Until then, be kind to yourself and do focus on rest. And there could be people naturally exiting from your life right now. Wherever there's no activity, give them space. The Four of Swords is not an active card. You already have the Four of Wands. There's people knocking on the door. If they're not knocking, that's the universe saying you can do better. So do better, okay? But generally speaking, I like the Four of Swords. It shows movement, peace, and transformation. It's just the quieter type. This is more like the egg in the tadpole and frog sort of metamorphosis. So Libra Sun, you're waiting, you're patient, and things will come through. 3 to 4 weeks here. It's going to take 2 of those cycles that we were talking about, so probably mid-January if you're watching this live. All right, moving to Libra Rising. Libra Rising, you have the Knight of Swords. So you showed up as yourself, which is good. The Knight of Swords is reversed. Don't be afraid to go back and revise something. Don't be afraid to revisit something, to go back and fix something, to go back because you don't like where you ended up. It is about saying in this period of time, there's something else that I need to focus on. And if I ignore it, it's not going to go away. So I'm going to deal with it right now. So we don't want the Eight of Swords energy. We want the Knight of Swords reverse. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to speak out. I'm going to take action. I'm going to be concise. I'm going to get this finished. And then I can get back to where I need to be. I kind of like his eyebrow that's kind of pointed up a little bit. He's like, all right, I think I can deal with this. I guess I'll deal with this. So yes, you can totally deal with this. And by doing it now, 2023 is going to be in an even better space. January is a little bit of mop up at the beginning, but then it's going to kick off in the right direction. Okay. So manage and deal with whatever needs to be managed and dealt with. And that's going to put you in the right direction for the rest of the year. Okay. Libra Moon. It's time to get to work. We have the Eight of Pentacles. This is a card of learning. This is a card of revising as well. There's a lot of revisionary energy coming through. And for many of you, it's a card of getting things just exactly the way you want them. So this is apprenticeship. Three of Pentacles is mastery. But whatever you put your mind to right now, you're going to get a return on it. You know, if I was looking at this and I pulled it for, should I live here? Should I go to school here? Is this someone that I'm going to work well with? All of these things would be a yes with this because it just shows that your mind is expanding in ways that you didn't imagine. So if you've never prioritized training or doing something new, sinking your teeth into something new, January is a perfect time for that if you are Libra Moon. Just let your heart take you where you want to go. Your mind, like I said, heart and mind are kind of like this. It's like a yo-yo. Eventually it comes back to source. So give yourself time to come back to source. But once these two things meet for Libra, wow, it's kind of like this star ignition moment. Okay? And that's the main message there. In relationships, because the moon can kind of connect with that, not as much as Venus, but a little bit, there could be karmic lessons that you need to unravel or to embrace. And once you've done that, then good things start to happen for you. And there's no longer some of the energy of like the devil that we saw here. So focusing on the message at hand, reading through things. We want to go back to moon. Reading through things and focusing on making sure that you haven't missed something. That's also really important as well. All right. Let's get into the quarterly forecast. We're going to take a look at 4 quarters of next year. This is something new that I basically do once a year. I haven't done it in a while, but I felt like doing it this year. So let's go ahead and take a look at 4 cards for 3-month periods, and I'll remind you of them as we go through them. Okay. Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. Okay, overall pretty good. Sorry, I hit that. Okay, let's bring these up and talk about the 4 quarters of the year. I'll just leave it down for a second. So for the first quarter, January, February, March, we have the 7 of Cups. April, May, and June, 7 of Pentacles. It's reversed. July, August, and September, 5 of Swords, and the end of the year, the 2 of Wands. Good card to end the year on. All right, let's do 1 quarter at a time. Kicking off the year, January, February, and March. So many things in your mind and that you could be putting your energy into. You're coming across as being led and being guided, but also being just a smidge scattered energetically. So the important thing for you would be I would say do it now. Don't wait until January. I hope many of you read this or look at this in advance of that. Sit down with yourself and think, all right, these are all the things that I want to do next year. Here are some time periods I think I'd like to focus on it, like project plan. Get a sort of general feel for prioritization. The sooner you do that, the more decisive, the more effective that you can be. Fourth quarter is going to be like amazing. I can already tell you that. But first quarter is about making sure that you don't overcommit. And it will really happen actually Q2, because there's a wealth of ideas. For those of you that are entrepreneurs or that are just looking to do something different, there's so much inspiration coming through. I feel like you're hitting the ground running in January, and you're like, oh, I could do this, shiny, shiny, shiny things all around. Just one at a time. That's the main energy of the Seven of Cups. Try to focus and think to yourself, where can I make the biggest splash? Where is my heart most connected? Where is my mind and heart most connected? And that's where I'm going to focus. Okay? That will help you. So first quarter of the year, going a mile a minute, lots of things that you're trying to get your head around. Talk to someone if you can. If you're fortunate enough to have a mentor or a project manager or a teacher in your life where you could say, what do you think? Which one do you like? I think it would be better for you to go in with a perspective saying, I really feel like this is what I should focus on. What are your thoughts? Because that's going to bring you closer to the decisive energy of the Seven of Cups in reverse versus the upright. I want to just show you the traditional card so you can see it. Because this one does a slightly better job of showing how overwhelming it can be. So typical Seven of Cups. Oh my God, what do I focus on? They all look inviting. It's like going to a place where there's a local place here in town that has a menu that has too many pages. Good menus, maybe 2 sides, maybe 4 pages total, because they have a concise, clear vision of their food. If you go to a place that has a spiral on the binder and it's a binder, you are at a place where it's going to be crazy and it's going to be hard to decide. So we have one vision that's kind of louder than the rest. Go towards your North Star. These other things, there'll be a time and a place. Go to the one that shines the brightest. That's my advice. Each month you can take one more of those cups down. Don't try to do them all at once. All right. Now going into the second quarter, April, May, and June, looking good. We have new resources flowing into your life. This is such a beautiful Seven of Pentacles. Great illustration because she's making the most of this. She's not putting all of it here, all of it here. What is it? Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Same sort of thing here. She's making sure that there's enough to go around. She's measuring it. She remembers the Six of Pentacles energy. She's keeping a little bit back for herself. She's the Ace of Cups overflowing. This, we're going to continue to nurture it. In the traditional card, we would see a person kind of looking frustratingly at it's usually like a grapevine that's growing and wondering like, where are the grapes? Why don't I see more? Why does that Nine of Pentacles lady over there have more than I do? This Seven of Pentacles character is saying, time, patience, diligence. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give just enough, but not too much of my time and energy as well. Because she is what? The source. So these cards go nicely together. What does this mean for you as we look at April, May, and June? That you're going to have, you are going to see growth and you're going to see development. You're going to get impatient because you want even more, but it's going to be enough. 7 is more than enough, but it carries with it the warning that you could overreach. So just because something takes off, give it a few months. In business, you learn this. You have to sort of average it out. Give it a year, give it a couple of years, see what the ebbs and flows are for your business or for your energy or for your life, and then have a little bit of contingency. So that's what she's doing. She's saving a little bit. She didn't empty the cup completely. She's keeping a little bit back for herself. And then all of these little seeds are going to grow. And then there'll be enough for a desert. And then when the rain comes, she'll collect a little more. And that's really what it's about, taking your time, okay? But Seven of Pentacles tells me a couple of things here. April, May, and June, make sure your debts are paid. April, May, and June, make sure that you're not letting something languish. If you got too many things going on, pull one back. Put one of those things back on the shelf. Focus on where the growth is. When I used to help my father plant a garden, we'd put a bunch of seeds out. Then we would go through and we would pick out the ones that were kind of like not the strong ones. You would overplant and then you would pick out the ones that were kind of not making it. And then you allow the strong ones to grow. And then you put the energy and resources into those. So you would thin it out a little bit, especially in gardening. Like if he was planting corn or certain vegetables, he's like, this one's weak. Let's take this out, give this other one room to grow, and it can have more of the soil and nutrients. So weed out things that you don't need, invest where you can, save a little bit. It's really about measuring things in that second quarter. As we look at Q3, this is the only challenging portion for you. But on some levels, it's easy. The challenge is you got the Five of Swords. The easy thing is it's very clear to recognize Five of Swords energy. There's always a person that isn't willing, ready, or very fun, maybe even to work with. They're not willing to take feedback. They're not ready to do the work. They're not open to constructive criticism. When you recognize people around you where it's kind of like no win or an empty investment, time to go in a different direction. Five of Swords can also be our inner voice, not letting ourselves win. We're too critical. We're thinking like, oh, this is never going to be enough, or I don't want to do this, or not listening to criticism. There's always like a sense of disappointment on this. You've got so much going in the right direction. The main thing here, remember, 5 is just what? One away from 6. So when you move away from that energy, you start to move forward. Here's the other one. You can cut losses, and we can see that a little bit better on the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. So the person in the front can either be causing the problems or looking over his shoulder and saying, I've had enough of this. I'm going to take these 3 swords and move forward and create something different in my life. Okay? So don't get involved with people, places, or things that aren't open to you. And don't let yourself take that energy too seriously. You've got other things to focus on. And I would say transmute this into the 6 of Swords and move on. You're going to have to, for those of you that have a business, this could be a period where you're going to cut off maybe a product line, maybe working with a certain vendor. For those of you working for someone, you may decide that you just don't want to put as much energy into it, or you're going to just quit. There's something about this. This is the period where the pruning happens, where the weeding out happens. So if you don't like something, move in a different direction. And that's going to be, this is bringing you into July, August, and September. This is very positive because by the time you get into October, November, and December, we have the 2 of Wands. And this is a card of manifestation and dreaming. It partners up with the High Priestess. This is the GPS. I know what I want. I know where I want to go. This is the power. All right, let's do it then. So you get to start creating new things, and you'll see it happen pretty quick. You've already got the High Priestess in the spread. So then you're going to start to quickly see, you're going to end the year on a very strong note. So it's kind of a nice year for you. It's slow and steady in building. Then there's a cutting that needs to happen, like a rose bush pruning, and then rapid growth at the end. I'm okay with that. So let's do a quick mini review, and then we'll move on to the final part of this reading today. Again, these cards are a little hard to grip. Okay, first quarter of the year. Being overwhelmed, but in a good way. All of these things in your head, January, February, March. Limit your scope, limit your focus, do less, but do it better. April, May, and June. There's more than enough to go around. Don't overstretch yourself. Save a little bit for self. The energy of weeding things out connects with both the second and the third quarter, moving also into July, August, and September, moving away from things that don't serve or suit you. And basically, like a rose bush, just pruning what doesn't need to be there. This will allow for more growth to happen. So as you separate from or disconnect from things that don't serve you, all of a sudden, rapid growth, rapid ideas, more energy comes back to you, okay? It's a good year, folks. It's a good year overall. Challenging third quarter, but one where you have the power to walk away, to prune, to say no. Every single sign is going to have at least one quarter where there's a little bit of movement or growth. Thankfully, the rest of yours are very, very good. Ideas, improvement in money, and then something really cool at the end of the year where you're manifesting beyond what was expected. So I like it. Let's move on to the next portion. Before I do that, just a couple of quick notes. If you haven't already hit the like button, please do. If you're new, subscribe and opt into the bell notifications. It helps. Give me a follow on social so you never miss a future video. Thank you in advance. I saw we already got some stickers and some member stuff, so I will say thank you at the end for that. By the way, speaking of engagement, because I'm doing lives, they don't get pushed up as much in the algorithm. When this is on replay, put an emoji, put some frogs in the comments, put some things that you like, and say thank you, I enjoyed the video. It helps with discovery as do the thumbs up. So thank you for that. I know it's a silly thing, but YouTube likes that. So give it a go. We'll do an experiment and see if we can get these back up, because I like doing lives. It's more like a conversation with friends. All right. With all of that being said, we're going to go into the final portion here, which comprises 3 things. We'll begin with a meditation to clear out some stuff. Then we will do a sound bath together. I'll basically play a singing bowl. And then after that, we will take a look at a final card. Okay? So at this point, let's take a look at the energy in front of us and see what it is that we could focus on the most. I really like the opening of the doors, the 3 doorways or the 3 paths that kind of came in front of us. So let's focus on doing that. Opening up new directions, new opportunities, and again, not limiting yourself. Okay? We can also work with the energy of a rainbow on this one, because I like that as well. It came through in a couple of cards, right? The 4 of Swords, and also here on the rainbow waterfall card. All right. So imagine yourself maybe at a creek. Yeah, because I want movement. So a stream or a creek. Very gentle movement where maybe it's just like 1 or 2 hands across. Not too much water, but enough to make noise and enough to bring in all of the transformational creatures that we talked about. So you see dragonflies, you see butterflies, you see moths, and you see the friendly tree frog or whatever kind of frog you want sitting there, showing you movement, change, and growth. And because you are there right after a rainstorm, you're seeing a double, actually, we're going to make it a triple rainbow. You're seeing a triple rainbow around you. And even though the top one is almost hard to see, it's almost invisible, you can see that just the very beginnings of that as well. So imagine yourself just below these 3 rainbows, representing 1 that's right around your auric field, 1 that is the potential of what's coming here in the new year, and 1 that's like all the way at the 4th quarter, like what we saw. So you're going through nothing but positive movement and change. Imagine you could reach out, touching the lowest light on that rainbow, which would be red, right? Roy G. Biv. So pulling in that red energy and grounding yourself in this moment in time and saying, I am here, I am ready, and I'm more than ready and more than enough to create what I see. And then just imagining that you could absorb some of the rays of light from that rainbow and pull all of the colors in your chakra systems. The rainbow aligns to our chakras as well. Red, orange, yellow, blue, green, Roy G. Biv, blue, indigo, and violet. So basically all of those different rainbow spectrums you can imagine wrapping around you as well. See in front of you the 3 doors and know that each of them is good, and imagine what you want to create. You get to make 3 wishes today. So the first one is the one that you're going to focus on the most over December or at the very beginning of the year. And then put the other 2 at any points that you want over 2023. So imagine that you could open and see what's beyond in those doors, and that you're going to say, I'm ready, and see them coming at various lengths closer to you. That's all you need to do. Just see the rainbow colors as I play the singing bowl, relax, enjoy, and then we'll take a look at your final question. Take a few deep breaths. Allow yourself to come back into your mind, into your body. See those 3 doorways and portals in front of you, and know that you have what it takes to create a path that leads you to each and every one of those destinations. Give me one moment, and I'll be right back with the final card. So I'd like you to focus on your question right now. Open your eyes if you haven't already, and then I'll take a look at the question. All right. Like I said, open your eyes, and let's go ahead and give the cards a shuffle and see what the message is for you. Three of Swords, reversed, which if you watch enough of my readings, you know that I actually think that that's positive. Because it's basically saying, I know what I want, I know what I don't want, and I know that sometimes I have to move through a disappointment in order to recognize something that's good. And so for many of you, you've realized like enough is enough with something. When we look at this in the upright position, we can see that like all-seeing eye, we see the tears coming down, but then we see what looks like a Milky Way galaxy or an Andromeda galaxy sort of swirling around there. And so it's basically saying, I can take this pain or this disappointment, and I can redirect it. And I can basically decide, if not this, then this. This clearly wasn't it. And it's okay to be upset. And I can feel upset for as long as I want. But I realize that the moment I take the energy and the power that I'm putting into the tears, into this sadness, and I start to mix that energy in a positive way into something else, I can create something more deserving of me. As a yes, no, this is telling me there's some healing to do. This is not like a clear-cut yes or no question. So for those of you that wanted a yes or no, I would say more healing is necessary. It's probably not yet. For those of you just wondering why this is happening, it's to free you from something or someone. And sometimes there's no other way to go about it than taking the bandage off and feeling that moment of, ouch. But then we start to heal even more. So that's what I see here is a moment of healing, and you needed to have a little bit of disappointment or a little bit of a charge to kind of like wake you up. And so now that you're awake, we see a lot of positive traction and positive movement. Okay, things will get better. You already got the 4 of Swords. So 4 of Swords is after this. It's really interesting that in tarot, some of the difficult cards come and then the really cool ones. You have to go through like the Tower before the Star. You have to go through the 3 of Swords before the 4 of Swords, which is healing, movement, and peace. So peace is on the way. And you'll have a more peaceful start to 2023. But right now there's a little bit of healing over the holidays that wants to come through. So take some time, take care of that. Remembering what we saw with the 8 of Swords at the top, that if you don't, it's still going to be there. So better that you do it than you have this sort of like fault line moment, right? Okay. That, my friends, constitutes our January 2023 reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I know we went a little bit over time today, but there was a lot to talk about. So thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And would love to have you show up on the weekend. I have a weekend collective that I do every Sunday where we take a look at the next 7 days and usually a special topic as well. And we'll be doing that this Sunday. And I'm, with exception to this week because I moved, I'm always live on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. And I do daily card reads, which again, I paused because of the move, but they're back now. And I'm trying to keep them a day ahead because trust me, I heard all of the complaints about them when they were the same day because it's different parts of the world. Today is tomorrow. So that means those of us on the West Coast will be getting them a day early, but that's okay. So I'll try to make that constant if I can. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Lots of love and light. Before I wrap up, I want to say thank you for your support, not just this year, but like for the past 7. I'll be starting my 8th year doing this next year. Wouldn't be here without you, couldn't do it without you, and I appreciate more to come in the year ahead too. Let's take a moment now to say thank you to the newest members. Let me see if they are showing up here. Oh, data is still processing. Here we go. All right. So for today, let's see. We have Cora Shearer. Thank you for rejoining after 2 months. Linda J. Thank you for rejoining after 2 months as well. Eva, thank you very much as well for joining. Jonathan, Conscious Candace, Sonia, thank you so much for rejoining. Sonia, actually, it's your first time, so thank you so much. And I think that's everybody from today. So much appreciation. If I missed anyone, apologies. All right, for Super Stickers and Super Chat, give me a moment here to say thanks to all of you, and then we'll wrap up. Robert, you're amazing. Thank you for that beautiful holiday gift. I appreciate it. Claude, thank you so much as well. Aphrodite Goddess 369, Katrina Morris, Jeannie Hart, and Supriya Singh. Thank you guys for being present, for making this a beautiful holiday season. I remember a lot of those names. It's so good to see you here over the course of the whole year. Again, I look forward to doing some cool stuff next year. Finally, now that I have my own place, I can hopefully do the podcast, which is what I've been wanting to do. But this year just had some twists and turns that I didn't expect. So I've been working to just kind of deal with that. But next year, there's some new stuff that I'd like to do on the channel. So let's see where we go from here, okay? Take care of yourselves. Have a great holiday season. Remember to join me on New Year's as well. And until then, take care and be well. Bye-bye.